All right, so today we're going deep on this YouTube video.
Okay.
It's called Woman Struck by Lightning, Shown Future World Events During NDE
Oh, wow.
from a channel called The Other Side NDE.
I've heard of that channel.
Yeah, they've got some pretty wild stories over there.
Yeah.
But this one,
Yeah.
it's a woman's near-death experience, obviously, from being struck by lightning.
hmm
And we're going to unpack it,
Okay.
Look at the images and messages and even some of the predictions that she makes about the future.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I find really interesting about this one
Yeah.
is that it sort of challenges some of the common assumptions that people have about NDEs.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's not just, floating towards a light or seeing deceased relatives.
Yeah.
There's some really complex themes in here about personal responsibility,
Okay.
the nature of the divine,
Yeah.
the interconnectedness of everything.
Yeah. Cool.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah, and it starts pretty normal. Like she's just sitting on her back stairs talking on a cordless phone in 2005.
hmm
And, a storm's coming in. Pretty typical summer evening.
Totally. Like a mundane setting.
Yeah.
And then, bam, she gets hit by lightning.
Oh my God.
And she describes, seeing the bolt hitting her arm,
Yeah.
feeling just agonizing pain, and then suddenly she's being pulled out of her body.
Okay, so classic out of body.
Yeah.
And she's walking through her house and things are a little weird.
Right. She notices that the furniture isn't hers.
Oh.
And everything has this strange, like, burnt gold look to it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really subtle detail,
Okay.
but it introduces this sense of disorientation and otherworldliness right from the get-go.
Right, I was going to say it's like her mind trying to signal that she's not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
Like a visual cue that something huge has changed.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's like her subconscious is trying to process this transition to a different reality. But then before she can really even think about it,
Yeah.
she's overwhelmed by this just incredible feeling of love and peace.
Yeah.
And all the fear and confusion just vanishes.
So the journey begins.
Right.
But instead of floating upwards, she's moving laterally
Yeah,
through these pink and gold clouds.
which is a very unique visual.
It is. I'm like, pink and gold clouds. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's not the typical rising to heaven imagery that we see a lot in NDEs.
Right.
This is more like a journey to a different dimension or maybe a parallel reality.
It's totally different.
Yeah,
And at the end of this tunnel of clouds, she gets to this amazing garden.
right. Not pearly gates, not a golden city,
Yeah.
but a garden.
A garden.
I think that's significant.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, gardens are often associated with, growth,
Yeah.
renewal, the cycle of life and death.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more organic,
Yeah.
earth-connected image than the, sterile depictions of heaven we sometimes see.
Right. It's a lot more inviting.
Yes.
And then in this garden, she has this reunion with her two brothers who had died in infancy.
Oh.
So sweet.
Yeah.
But also, like, wouldn't that be a little confusing?
How so?
Like, you've never known these people
Yeah.
in life, but suddenly you have this, like, intense connection with them.
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I think it kind of speaks to the idea of soul recognition,
Okay.
which transcends our earthly understanding of relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe on a soul level, those bonds are still there,
Yeah.
even if we don't have conscious memories of them.
It makes you think about the nature of family,
It does.
and how it maybe extends beyond just our physical realm.
Absolutely.
And she describes the garden in such detail.
Yeah.
The soft grass and the vibrant colors and the sweet air.
She's experiencing everything in like this heightened sensory awareness.
Yeah, she keeps mentioning these colors that she doesn't even have names for.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really emphasizes the idea that she's experiencing something beyond our normal perception.
Yeah, like her senses are expanding to take in this reality that's so much more vibrant than ours.
Exactly, like her senses are being stretched to accommodate this new reality.
Right.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then a crowd gathers around her in this garden.
Oh, okay.
And it's people from all different time periods.
Interesting.
And they're all radiating this inner light.
Oh, wow.
And everyone looks to be about in their late 20s or early 30s.
Okay.
No one is sick or suffering.
That's another common image in NDEs.
Yeah.
This vision of a realm where there's no pain or sorrow.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember, though, that this is just one woman's interpretation.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. We're looking at a very specific and personal account.
Exactly.
So then comes the life review.
Oh, yeah.
This giant movie screen descends and her entire life plays out
Wow.
from infancy to the moment she was struck by lightning.
And she sees everything.
Everything but very fast.
Oh, wow.
An old film reel.
Okay, so the life review,
Yeah.
that's a pretty common theme in NDEs. But there's a twist here.
Yeah, what's the twist?
She says there's no judgment.
Oh, interesting.
During the review, she doesn't feel scrutinized or condemned for her actions.
Okay.
It's just a presentation of her life.
So no, like, St. Peter at the pearly gates.
Right, no judgment.
Yeah.
Which really highlights this theme of unconditional love.
Okay. Because that really challenges the traditional idea of, divine judgment after death.
Right, it's more like a neutral observation.
Yeah.
A chance to just reflect on your life without fear of punishment.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a much more compassionate perspective.
It is, yeah. And then she gets this message that really seems to kind of carry through the rest of her experience.
Okay, what's that?
What you put out into the universe will come back to you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and she describes it as this like cascade of aha moments.
Okay.
Like she's suddenly plugged into this universal database of knowledge.
Like a download.
Yeah, totally. And to explain it, they use this boomerang analogy.
Oh, okay.
What you send out into the world eventually comes back to you, whether it's good or bad.
That's a really powerful image.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes personal responsibility and the interconnectedness of everything.
Right, so our actions have consequences, not just for us, but for the world around us.
Absolutely.
It's the butterfly effect.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that's profound and all, but
Yeah.
like, how do we actually apply this boomerang effect to our everyday lives?
That's the question, right?
It is.
It's easy to get caught up in our own little worlds and forget that our actions have these ripple effects.
Totally. It's definitely a question worth pondering, and I think something we'll explore further as we go along here.
Yeah.
I think one takeaway is that mindfulness is key.
Okay.
Just being aware of the energy we're putting out into the world, the words we speak, the choices we make,
Right.
those things can have a big impact.
So it's about intentionality.
Precisely. Yeah, thinking about the kind of boomerangs we're throwing out there.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And she describes this message as life-changing.
It made her incredibly mindful of how she treated others and the energy she projected into the world.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. And remember, this is all happening while she's being infused with this, divine wisdom and understanding
Right.
of God,
Yeah.
the universe, the complexities of human existence. It's like a crash course in cosmic consciousness.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just the beginning.
Oh, boy.
There's so much more to come, and it gets even more fascinating.
Oh, can't wait.
Buckle up.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
Okay, so we left off with her having this big realization in the garden, but she's not done exploring this other world yet.
Right. And this is where we really start to see how expansive this place is.
Okay.
It's not just a garden. It's like this whole world.
Wow.
And she sees something called the Glorious City off in the distance.
The glorious city.
Yeah. And it's described as being surrounded by this massive golden wall
Okay.
with buildings made of gleaming white alabaster.
Wow. Sounds beautiful.
It does, yeah. She talks about these intricate carvings and details.
So it's not just like, clouds and light.
No, it's like a real city with architecture and design.
I was going to say it's interesting that she's using these like architectural terms
Right.
to describe this city.
Yeah, it suggests a sense of order and structure,
Right.
which, maybe is comforting after that initial disorientation she experienced.
Yeah, like going from the natural organic garden to a more like structured or civilized place.
Exactly. And within the city, she sees all these different places that have specific purposes,
Oh, like what?
like specialized districts almost.
Okay.
For example, she mentions an area for babies and children who have died,
Oh,
where they're being cared for by deceased loved ones.
that's sweet.
It's a really tender image.
Yeah.
And it speaks to that idea, again, of those familial bonds continuing even after death.
Right, like a cosmic nursery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where those who died too young can still be loved and cared for.
It's not just, everyone floating around on clouds like we sometimes picture heaven.
Right. It's more nuanced and varied than that.
And she mentions this spiritual hospital
Yes.
with healing pools for those who died traumatic deaths.
It's a fascinating concept, right?
Yeah.
A place where souls can find solace and restoration.
Like post-traumatic stress, but on a soul level.
Exactly. Maybe even after death, there's still a process of healing.
Yeah, makes you think.
It does.
And of course, you can't forget the library.
The Hall of Knowledge,
Yeah.
filled with books on every subject imaginable.
Every subject.
Every subject.
What kind of books do you think are in there?
That's the question, right?
It is.
Are they written in languages we understand?
Yeah.
Do they contain knowledge that's beyond our current comprehension?
Right.
It really sparks the imagination.
It does.
It challenges this idea that death is an ending.
Right.
Maybe it's just a transition to a different way of being where we can continue to explore and learn.
Yeah, okay, so she's exploring this city
Yeah.
and taking it all in, and then she has this really significant encounter.
Oh, yeah. Who does she meet?
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, and he just offers her these words of comfort.
Like what?
I love you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Don't be afraid.
It's a message of reassurance,
It is.
but I also sense this subtle hint that her time in this realm might be limited.
Oh, interesting.
Like this visit is temporary,
Right.
and eventually she'll have to go back.
But she's so caught up in everything.
Of course.
She doesn't really pick up on that.
Who could blame her? She's in this amazing place, seeing incredible things, meeting Jesus.
Right. It would be hard to leave.
Exactly.
Oh.
So what happens next?
Well, Jesus leads her to this peaceful wooded glen
Okay.
with a stream and a log where they sit down.
Okay.
And as Jesus departs, another figure appears,
Oh.
sitting at the other end of the log.
Who is it?
And she immediately knows this is God.
Whoa. Okay, hold on.
Very.
So she's just casually chatting with God on a log?
That's what it sounds like.
It's like something out of a folktale.
It is. And their conversation, it's not about these grand pronouncements or mystical secrets.
Okay.
God keeps asking her the simple question. Oh, what is it?
What would you do if it was just me and you?
Just the two of them.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what that means.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think God keeps repeating that question?
I don't know. It's like he's trying to get at something deeper.
I think so too.
Like strip away all the distractions and get to the core of our relationship with the divine.
Exactly what remains when it's just you and the creator of the universe.
Oh, wow, that's heavy.
It is, yeah, it's a question that forces you to confront your own beliefs,
Yeah.
your motivations, your fears, your desires.
Right. And she's confused by it first.
Yeah, she doesn't get it.
So?
So God takes her to this clearing, and with a wave of his hand, reveals the vastness of the universe.
Oh, wow.
Like that classic zoom out shot in a documentary
Yeah.
where you see Earth as this tiny speck,
Right.
and it's a humbling experience.
Yeah.
It makes her realize how small she is.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, exactly. But then she humorously tells God,
What did she say?
she says, if it was just the two of us in all that vastness, you'd probably get tired of me after 10 minutes.
Oh, my gosh. I love that.
It's funny, right?
It is.
She could still be herself even in the presence of God.
It shows that, like, spirituality doesn't have to be all serious and somber.
Absolutely. There's room for laughter and joy.
Yeah. And then they go back to the log, and God asks the question again.
And she still doesn't know how to answer.
Right.
But then she's drawn to this majestic oak tree.
The oak tree.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
Well, she starts describing the tree in detail, the bark, the roots, the leaves,
Okay.
and she sees how everything is interconnected.
Right.
The smallest parts are essential to the whole.
Like she's having an epiphany about nature.
Yeah, but on a spiritual level.
Okay.
And this leads her to this remarkable statement.
What does she say?
She says, God's 100th name in the Quran is, God is everywhere. God is nowhere, and God is in me.
Wait, she's never read the Quran?
She hasn't.
That's why.
It is right. It's like this wisdom is flowing through her.
From somewhere else.
Yeah. And God confirms she's correct.
Oh.
And then asks her, when you look in the mirror, what do you see?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is.
Especially for women.
Yeah.
You know, we're always being judged on our appearance.
Right. It's hard not to internalize those negative messages.
Totally. So what does she say?
Well, her usual response would be, just me,
Yeah.
nobody else.
Yeah.
But she knows that's not what God is looking for.
Right.
So she says, God, you made me, you are in me. So when I look in the mirror, I see you.
Wow. That's powerful.
It's a complete shift in her self-perception.
She's recognizing the divine within herself.
Exactly. And God is so happy with her answer.
It's a beautiful moment.
God is essentially saying, I don't make mistakes. I don't make junk. You are worthy. You are loved. You are a reflection of the divine.
That's a message we all need to hear.
Absolutely. It's especially in a world that tells us we're not enough.
Right.
So this encounter with God, it marks a turning point in her experience.
Well,
She's been given a glimpse of her true nature.
Her true nature. Okay.
But her journey's not over yet.
There's more.
There is, and it gets a little more unsettling.
Oh, boy.
Buckle up.
Okay, so she's had this amazing encounter with God. She's learned about her self-worth and the interconnectedness of everything. But her journey isn't over yet.
No, it's not. And this is where things take a bit of a darker turn.
Oh.
Yeah. Two angels approach her.
Okay.
They're described as wearing these ornate gowns, but she specifically mentions that they don't have wings.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it kind of goes against the typical angel image, right?
It does. Like, maybe our ideas about the afterlife are too limited.
Exactly. And these angels lead her to a calm lake.
Okay.
The surface is described as still as glass.
I'm already getting a sense of foreboding here.
Yeah, still water's mysterious angels. Feels like something big is coming.
It does, so what happens?
Well, she leans over and looks into the water, and
Ah.
she's shown a series of future world events.
And are they good?
Not exactly.
Wait, what did she say?
She sees terrible weather changes, volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis.
Wow.
It's a pretty bleak picture of natural disasters and global upheaval.
So like a warning, a prophecy.
That's a good question, and it really gets to the heart of how we interpret these kinds of experiences.
Right.
Are they set in stone, or do we have the power to change things?
Because if it's all predetermined, it's kind of depressing.
Yeah, what's the point of trying if it's all going to end badly anyway?
Exactly.
And luckily, that's not the message the angels give her.
Oh, good.
They explain that these events are a result of human collective selfishness.
Oh.
So it's not inevitable.
We have a choice.
Exactly. It's a consequence of our actions as a species.
So we're not just passengers on this train to destruction.
No, we have agency. We can choose a different path.
That's good to hear.
It's a reminder that we're not just individuals.
Right.
We're part of this collective, and our actions have ripple effects.
It's like that butterfly effect again.
Exactly.
But it's a lot of responsibility.
It can feel overwhelming to think that our choices could impact the fate of the world.
It really can.
But it's also empowering,
How so?
because it means we're not powerless.
Right.
We have the ability to choose a better future for ourselves and the planet.
So it's not about being perfect, but about being mindful.
Exactly. Making conscious choices, thinking about the impact we have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And her journey doesn't end there.
Oh, there's...
She's sent back to her body.
Okay.
And the return is described as pretty jarring.
Like being ripped out of a dream.
Yeah, suddenly she's back in the real world with all its pain and limitations.
So what happens?
Well, she wakes up next to the stairs and she's in pain from the lightning strike.
Oh, yeah, of course.
She's left with a heart condition and seizures, and she even mentions the charred marks on the stairs and the blackened phone as proof of what happened.
Wow, so even a brief trip to the other side can have lasting effects on your physical body.
It can, but it's the impact on her soul that's really profound.
Right.
This experience gave her a deep sense of love, compassion, and responsibility.
It changed her whole perspective.
It did. And, it made her question everything she thought she knew about reality.
It's an incredible story.
It is.
It makes you think about so many things. Life, death, the afterlife, the power of love, the potential for human change.
It really does. And for me, one of the biggest takeaways is this idea that we're not just isolated individuals.
Yeah.
We're part of something so much bigger.
Right.
Our actions matter, and they have consequences that ripple outward.
And it all goes back to that question God asked her.
What would you do if it was just me and you?
Such a simple question.
It's so powerful.
It really gets to the core of who we are.
It does.
And what we believe.
So I guess the question for all of us is,
Yeah.
what would we do differently knowing that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves?
Knowing that our actions have the power to shape the future.
It's something to think about.
It is. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
Of course, it's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
Thank you for cruising with us on Podcast Cruise. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us bring you more intriguing and thought-provoking podcasts. Stay curious, and we'll see you on the next adventure.